presentation on our FY24 budget training. And I'm going to repeat a couple things that are in there, I think, for her, but we're going to ask that you ask your questions by typing them in the chat. Once the training's over, we'll answer as many questions as we can. Either way, we're going to document all questions and answers in a Word document and get them to not just the participants in this training, but also questions and answers and participants in the 522 training. So I'm gonna mute myself and let Sarah get started.
Yeah, I just want to start off by saying welcome, everybody. Thank you for attending today. I know we have quite a bit of changes in the 24 budget template, so we're just going to run through those with you guys today in hopes it helps you in completion of these templates. And you should have already received your program-specific templates by now. If any of you have not, please immediately let your assigned analyst know, and we'll get them to you right away. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen and go through a few things for these templates for you guys. All right. All right, so a few things we're going to go through today is each tab of the budget template, and then just a couple other informational pieces that will accompany that. So that's our agenda for today. So as we get started, for questions and instructions for today's meeting, as Stacy said, all questions and or comments you can put in the chat, and any comments, questions throughout the training that get asked and answered, or anything that isn't answered, will get followed up after the training is completed, and we'll get all of this, including the PowerPoint, to all of you in an email. So we'll make sure everybody gets the same information, and any additional questions afterwards, feel free to ask. All right. So for the instructions for your budget template, there are 6 tabs of your budget workbook, and the first tab is the instructions for completion. So we have spruced those up quite a bit this year and have included much more detail to those to help you guys as you go through each tab. So first tab you will be completing is the budget template. And so this is what the budget template looks like now, which is pretty different from prior years. So we have included your FY23 approved budget, which will be pre-filled for you. And that will be in columns C and D here. And this is where all of the main budget category amounts will be entered for your budget, which is similar to prior year, your budget template tab, and that's where you will be completing most of it. So some specifics about completing the budget template, you'll include a narrative in column B here. And this year we have included a 1,000-character maximum on this field. So please be careful when entering your narratives, as it will error out if you go above that. So just keep that in mind when entering those. And the additional fields you will be entering is your program amount and your, oops, sorry. No, go back. There we go. Is your program amount and your JWB amount for fiscal year 24, which is in column E and F here. And any subtotals calculations that may be included in your narratives for large amounts must tie to the amounts that you enter in columns E and F. So we'll be checking any amounts in the narratives to match the amounts that are entered into columns E and F. And then, of course, down here on line 18 for positions, those amounts will automatically populate for you from the positions tab. So you don't even have to fill those out on this tab. And then one last thing on this tab that you have to do is column G, the SOAR tab, that will automatically populate from your SOAR tab as well. And a final few things about the budget template. Columns I through L reflect your dollar and percent change from the prior year in each budget category. Oh. Please hold. I think something is happening. Am I still presenting?
Sarah,
No,
you're
the
not.
power-
I think someone might have clicked on gallery view or something.
I don't think it's me anymore. Okay, wait. Please hold. Let me get back to it. Is it me again?
Yes.
Yes.
Yay! Okay. All right. All right. So again, just columns I threw out here are percent and amount changes from prior year. And then in, let's see, for G here, that will be your total amount approved by JWB, your allocation for fiscal year 24. And that amount should tie to the amount in your funding renewal letter from your consultants that you should have received. So those two amounts from program and finance should tie together. And then for cell G26, that will populate from the SOAR tab. And there's kind of like a additional check there to make sure there's no discrepancies from the SOAR tab to the budget template tab. And if there's anything, that little check will kind of distinguish that for us. And then, of course, just as a note, our JWB financial policies and procedures are included on our website, and they are also included at the end of this PowerPoint in a link. And you can reference that at any time if you have any questions as far as maybe what items are allowable in a certain budget category or may not be. And then if any questions outside of what the chart of accounts may mention, please ask your financial analyst. All right, so let's see. All right, so the next tab you will complete is the positions tab. And here is what the updated positions tab looks like. And then columns A through H roughly will be pre-populated with your FY23 positions information. All right, so completing the positions tab. So columns I through O are updated staff members, salary amounts, JWB amounts, anything that needs updated for fiscal year 24 will go in those columns. And those amounts should also include any workforce stabilization funding that you received for fiscal year 24. So we'll just be making sure that those amounts are also tied correctly into your budget for the new year. And then if you're requesting any new positions for fiscal year 24, you'll add them in column A and B, just right under your existing positions. And if you could, please use the next available number in your positioning sequence. And then all other columns, F, G, M, and N, are formulas. So they will pre-populate for you. And if you're comfortable noting changes for percentages or dollar amounts, please feel free to use column V for JWB comments and questions if you're available to add any insight as far as those changes before even submitting to us. And then all of these other columns shown here will populate based on formulas. And again, your totals from this tab will populate to the budget template for you. Right, so for your SOAR, for completing the SOAR tab, we have added an additional tab here that you can see that says SOAR categories. So, ooh, my bad. I'm getting a little click happy here. All right, so, oh no. Here on the left side of the screen, you'll see what the SOAR tab looks like. Pretty similar to prior year. It will just reflect FY24 SOAR, and you will reference that new tab called SOAR categories, and you can use any of those available SOAR categories on the right side of the screen here. And those, of course, are also for you in your budget workbook as a separate tab. So again, the totals from this tab will populate to the budget template tab for you. So once you complete this, you don't have to worry about adding your SOAR back to the budget template. It will do it for you. All right, so your year-to-date budget variance. This is something new for this year. So this is our example. I don't know why it's going the opposite way for me. So this is an example of a budget template that, budget variance template that you will be receiving with your budget workbook as an additional tab that will help you indicate financial needs for fiscal year 24. So this budget variance will show actual expenses through the end of March 31st if your reimbursements were submitted timely through March. So if your March reimbursement was timely, your budget was not timely, your budget variance with your budget template may not accurately reflect a 6-month budget. So please be aware of the period that your budget variance is ending to help you with any forecasting that you may utilize this for when FY24 budget. All right, and just some other things to go over here. As stated in the email sent with your budget templates, please return your completed workbook to your assigned senior program financial analyst no later than June 16th. We will review budgets in the order they are received. And once finance reviews them, they will be forwarded to your senior program consultant and evaluator for any programmatic reviews. And once that is complete, program finance will reach out to you to determine if any updates are needed, and those can be made via email, or if a Teams meeting may seem more appropriate, feel free to let us know. We'll set one up and we'll meet in Teams. And at the end here is just a link to our financial policies and procedures. So I want to say thank you for attending, and I hope this was helpful. I'm going to turn it over to Stacy to go into maybe some questions that came up along the way.
Right. I'm not seeing a lot of questions. I'm surprised. I thought we would see, 100 questions from folks. The first one that I saw, I think we already answered, and it was whether or not this PowerPoint presentation will be shared with you. And the answer to that is yes. I'm actually just trying to capture these questions. The next question that I caught, and if Julia, if I missed one, please bring it to my attention. There was a question was, what if there is a personnel change in a position? How do we handle that? We're not at, we just want you to put the current staff member's name. If there's personnel changes, we handle that throughout the year. What we really want to document is the position numbers, what the budget was in 23 and what the budget is in 24. So I hope I answered that. It's the actual staff names themselves. We're not even putting the staff names from 23 in there. What we need the staff names for is to populate Amplify when we import your budget. And then the last question that I saw, I don't have an answer to, and it was, does anyone know the per meal rate for the summer lunch program to include in SOAR? We can get back to you on that and provide an answer to everybody, because I think you're not, if that was Sandy Clayton, I think you're not the only one who will need the answer to that. So, were there more questions that I missed? I'm so surprised that there aren't any more. Let's see.
I don't see any other questions. Oh,
There's
I just
something.
received
It's a
one from Janet
Stacy
Cooper.
question of SOAR. What is
Paul's hands
that?
up.
Yeah,
You
that was
already-
me, Stacey. I've got a new provider. We're doing this for the first time again. So when it comes to the insurance and the non-Medicaid pieces, is that based on prior year forecast? Could you just touch on that very quickly, or do we need to have that conversation offline?
Could you clarify one more time?
When they're putting in sources of revenue for Medicaid, for example,
Okay.
that's going to be a forecast, correct?
Correct. They're gonna,
Okay,
it's the best guess forecast of any source of revenue expected in FY24.
and insurance, non-Medicaid covers all the private insurances across the board. That's basically that catch-all piece.
You're looking at the SOAR categories.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yes, sir.
okay, thank you.
Janet Hooper has not received the budget template. I will make sure that you've received that. That would have been me who sent it to you, Janet.
Okay, I don't remember seeing it. I'll go back and look. If I got the
Okay.
budget template, I know I got the BA, but I didn't get the budget template. So,
I can email it to you again, even if you've already gotten it once. I don't mind.
okay, well then that would be wonderful. Thank you.
I see Anthony's hand up.
Good morning. Hey, everyone. These are never fun conversations to have, so thank you for trying to make them more enjoyable and easy for someone like me. Thank you, thank you. So I have a question, but mine are a little bit more specific to dealing with in-kind and all of the changes that we have with some of the NFCs this year. Stacy, is that something that we should work with you on? Should we be working with like our primary point person for me, Kelly, to kind of make sure we put those in correctly this year, or the changes that have been done with that, like with our audit, with our CRI and that kind of stuff? I didn't know where that conversation can happen to ensure that we're lining those up correctly this year.
Yeah, I think best if we talk about NFC specific questions with respect to the accounting service organization and all of those changes. We discuss those differently. You should have noted that for all the NFCs who may be on this call, you would have received a separate email a while back stating how much was being added to your funding renewal for an ASO finance budget.
Thank you. Yeah, I did get that one. And then my second question is a little bit more in regards to, while I appreciate where we're going to see the increases and decreases on our budget lines for this with this new template. Like I've already been advised by our insurance provider that insurance is going to go up between another 35 to 40% this next year versus what we did last year. So we're going to see some of those higher jumps. And in some years, we've had to kind of come back to you guys and justify those increases. So is there a way for us to maybe just be aware of that, some of those bigger increases that are coming down the pike like that for utilities, insurance? I mean, those are going to be much larger this year just because of where we are in the world. Instead of having to kind of individually come back to you guys, is there a way to maybe look at that more as a blanket? We understand that these are going to be higher, so you don't have to jump through the hoops to justify these increases or anything.
So on the actual budget template tab, we ask, and in the instructions, very similar to last year, if your increase is both $1,000 more or less and plus or minus 10%, we just ask that you just need one sentence. Insurance costs increase 40%. You include that in your narrative. I'm hoping I've got some friends on this call because I didn't intend to actually do, like, I don't know, I was thinking all the questions would be in chat and I wouldn't even get to them. So now I'm actually trying to document the questions as you ask them and my answers. So hoping I've got some other folks on the call who are helping me. And just to respond to that, Anthony, as long as you do that, we wouldn't come back. And we are all aware of the huge increase in the property insurance. Okay. What if we add more than one position? That's just fine. You can add as many positions as you need. There's a bunch of rows. We tried to leave at least 20 rows underneath the 23 positions. So unless you've got something really major going on and you may need us to modify that document so you can put even more rows in there, you should be fine. And then if we are a new funded program for 7 months, we did not send the templates out for the folks who were just awarded a program in FY23 for either 6 or 7 months, either those that were effective March 1st or those that were effective April 1st, because we already have your approved budget template that you submitted in the RFP process and that we reviewed. Okay, am I missing anything? Any other hands up? All right, we schedule 90 minutes, so we may not want to schedule 90 minutes on the 22nd.
May have to adjust that one, yes.
For whatever it's worth, since I have you all here, when you're filling out the budget template and you're completing your narratives, the rows should auto adjust. So if you're typing a lot, they should auto adjust. But if you're copying and pasting, it will not necessarily auto adjust for you. So you need to copy paste values and then it will expand for you. We did our very best to test the template. We even found mistakes each one of us had made. And so we did our very best that there aren't glitches. But if you find a glitch, the sooner you let me or your senior program financial analyst know, we'll be able to identify whether or not it's only in your template or if it's in everybody so that we can fix it. We're really hopeful we caught everything. We tried to simplify this. We tried to pull, it was very, very hard to work through the spreadsheets we sent last year because they were so wide, because they had the 23 and the 24 narratives in there. So we felt like, you know what, they have last year's. We'll just leave that off. So then you can actually move and manipulate on the screen more easily. The position tab, we kind of replicated what the workforce stabilization position tab looked like for those of you who receive workforce stabilization in FY23. So while there are a lot of columns, it should look a little familiar and it shouldn't be as difficult to manage as before. We're hopeful that we can actually analyze the changes in positions on that tab itself, part of the streamlining and getting rid of a salary analysis tab that the financial analysts have always had to put together in previous years. In far previous years, like I'll be here 4 years, I think this week, and as long as I've been here, we've had to do the separate salary analysis. So we're hoping we're capturing all of that there. And yeah, we tried to, make it so that you can't enter a number on a cell that's a formula. We're trying to keep you from putting pennies anywhere. But if you notice anything, please feel free to let us know so that we can make the process even better. That's it. So many folks, and nobody has a question. Well, I really hope this is helpful. Somebody said, for any questions that come up, yes, our plan is to provide questions and answers for both trainings to everybody, who attended one or the other of the trainings. And Julie already answered yes. Okay. Last call.
Thank you, Stacey and team. I know this is a very involved process and you've worked very hard to refine it and to make it as streamlined as possible. So I really want to recognise all the work that you guys have done behind the scenes, having seen this process over a number of years. Nice work.
Thanks, Paul. We can always count on you for a little like pat on the shoulder.
There we go. There we go. Blending the programmatic and the social work and the fiscal together, folks know as well. Good to see everybody.
Oh, Sam,
There's one more question.
you can round. I mean, right? It's a budget. If you're putting amounts in, there's no problem rounding. All right. Janet doesn't have any questions. We're good to go.
Some may spring to mind.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thank you.